Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you got to do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. About you now. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had it out. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. About you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding. And all the lights that light the way are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. I don't know how. 'Cause maybe, oh,
Hey, everybody. It's the top of the hour, and that means you've still got time to get yourself all comfy cozy. Get your nautical attire ready. Grab yourself something to snack on, something to slurp on. No, don't say slurp. Share the link out with your friends and family not already in the stream, because 6 o'clock Dad Rock Talk will begin in about 2.5 minutes.
I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding. And all the lights that light the way are blinding. Oh, 'cause there are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. I don't know how. But maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall. Baby, let me tell you that maybe, you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall. Tell me, Ryan, you're my wonderwall. Howdy, 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 ho. Howdy, 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 hey. Howdy, 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 ho. All right. Listen, girl, I'm not like all these other fellas. It's close to me tonight.
Welcome to the virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for 6 o'clock Dad Rock Talk. Please welcome to your screen 6 o'clock Dad Rock Talk.
No, I'll start after a good pause. Hey folks, welcome to the show. This is 6 o'clock Dad Rock Talk. As always, I'm Corey Behringer, joined also, as always, by the co-host that puts the adult in adult contemporary. It's Court Hansen. How you doing, Court?
Oh, my guitar strings are nylon. My sunglasses are shiny.
Yeah.
And I've got a
Your
cold...
shorts are Bermuda.
Yeah, and I got a cold drink in my hand,
Nice.
and I'm just enjoying that yacht life.
Yeah, as one does when
Right,
one
I'm-
owns and operates a yacht.
I'm enjoying all my disposable income and the
Yes.
safety that a yacht affords from the plague that is ravaging the mainland. I've been
Yeah.
out here since the beginning of quarantine on a yacht. And so I'm excited to finally learn about some music to accompany this journey I've been on into
The music of your
madness.
people, if you will, of your
Yeah.
people. You know,
White.
Because we aren't here to talk about the plague, are we, Court? We're here to talk about
No.
yacht rock, and to help us through this maritime journey of yacht music and the like is the great Eric Wynn. How you doing, Eric?
Hello, how's it going, guys? Hello, Corey.
It's going wonderful. We're so pleased to have you here because it's one of my favorite things about this show is just by the mere existence of the show and people that we know discovering it, it sparks in their mind this thing that they haven't talked to other people about enough.
Yeah,
Perhaps, or haven't been open about it, you know.
that's more accurate.
When Court was kind of relaying me what your correspondence was for this, is it fair to say that you had almost some, I wouldn't say hesitance over the theme that we're going to do this week, but more so of like, you guys probably wouldn't want to do yacht rock, but I could talk about that for hours. Like that seems to be what the gist was.
Oh yeah, I took a screen grab of it because I want for the people at home.
I think I
who
might have
be-
too.
Who like might be upset, like what? Why are they doing this? I want everyone to know the full message I sent to him when he's like, "Well, what are some ideas?" I said,
Yeah.
I can talk pretty extensively about Fleetwood Mac, Big Star, Thin Lizzy, Talking Heads, The Cure, Depeche Mode, Smashing Pumpkins, The Rolling Stones, Prince, Pixies, Pink Floyd, Neil Young, and like he didn't respond from it. And I was like, also like weirdly obsessed with yacht rock. Instant like,
Ding 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 ding. Yeah,
oh, we're into yacht rock. Let's do
exactly.
that.
That is, oh yeah, that tracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That-
all-
and when he told me that, I was like, yeah, that's our show. That's what we do, is finding that kind of thing.
What's even more fucked up is I realized I told him I was like, oh, I can talk extensively about all these things, including yacht rock. And like it just occurred to me about 20 minutes before we started recording, I was like, I actually don't know anything about like any of these bands or anything.
Oh, like
I
the
can
background of stuff.
I
Oh,
can
yeah,
talk
it's fine.
extensively about my love of it. I don't know if I like most of these people I was looking up. I was like, who the fuck is this?
Well, yeah, I think I already really relate to that because I'm sure most of the music we're going to hear tonight, I'm going to enjoy, and maybe I've even heard, but I know so little about the people that made it because so many of them are like, you know, hired sessions players or these,
Yes.
you know,
Fuck
jazz greats. I don't
Fuck yeah.
know these people. Like,
That's-
I know their work, sort of.
So what can I, if I can ask you both,
Uh-huh.
what yacht rock, like what was your first memories of hearing that term and like what you associated it with, out of curiosity?
Well, for me,
I just started hosting this show. I'm already
oh, please do. I always encourage the guests to steamroll because I'm the number one steamroller. So you please steam back. Please be a big old
Oh, yeah.
steamer. For me, it was. I think I had a misconception of what yacht rock was, and that's that I think I just thought that it was one of the branches of like what it. Like I thought that it was more of a, for one thing, a more modern sound, and I thought it was
Okay.
heavily synth, and I thought that it was all these things because there was like some synth pop act that came through town, and they had, I think, yacht in their title, and I think maybe even on like the poster it had like, you know, sometimes they'll have genre type things under
Yeah.
the name, and I think yacht rock might have even been one of them, which in that case definitely would have been a misnomer. But I don't know. It's sort of it sounded bland to me. Like that was my impression, and it was only, I'd say, in the last year or so that I realized that it was coined to describe more of those, you know, adult contemporary, you know, Steely Dan, these sort of precision bands, and that's like I totally admire that. Like as a because the guy who coined it was like defending it fairly recently on Twitter. It was just like, no, it's not a derogatory thing. It's like it's saying that it's like the prestige of these things. It's yacht. It's not just rock.
To quote
Robo.
Starsky and Hutch, the remake Starsky
Please,
and Hutch movie,
please, always.
it's not a boat, it's a yacht.
Yo,
What
okay,
was-
I might be crucified for this, but that fucking remake, I think it's fucking funny. I haven't seen it.
It's
in probably
very
like 10
funny.
years, but
It's
I
Todd
remember
Phillips
laughing.
of Joker fame,
Yeah,
from the twisted
that
mind of
what?
Todd
Yeah.
Phillips.
and
Yeah.
Gigi Allen's hated.
I was just gonna.
Yeah.
I am incapable of not referencing his Gigi Allen documentary. I have to bring it up.
It's great. I
Um,
love it.
What was your first impression, Court, with the term yacht rock?
So it's a term that I assumed had been around forever. I assumed that people were using the term as like kind of a derogatory thing, like in the late 70s. Like
Yeah.
when people like, I don't know, like James Taylor or that kind of like singer-songwritery, or like Crosby, Stills and Nash, like when they kind of grew up a little bit and it just became more like radio-friendly soft pop. I thought that maybe the term yacht rock was coined then specifically because of the CSN album where they're sitting on a yacht. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
look, this is like, these guys
Yeah.
are so indulgent, they're so detached, they're yacht rock. They're not they're not so I was surprised to learn that the term was coined like relatively recently to
Yeah.
retroactively describe the period rather than it being like a long-standing subgenre.
Yeah,
So
wasn't it just like 2007 or something? I think
think
it's like
so,
pretty
yeah.
recent. Yeah.
And so I didn't really have much. I still don't really have much familiarity with what it actually is, other than what my initial, like you said, kind of negative stereotype was of it,
Yeah.
which was that it was like, just like how people complained about disco, and when bands would go disco, I assumed like, oh man, they turned really yacht rock. It's just like very soft and slickly produced and kind of bland now. But I have learned to not write stuff off for those reasons. So I'm excited to get into this.
Fuck yeah.
Well, were we correct in our assessments, Eric? Like, how would you describe or define yacht rock?
I think you even I honestly, I was sitting over here as like this fucking academic over here talking about the like leisure boat of shit, and I was like, oh, I never even made that connection. I thought it was
Yeah,
just
Court was kind of a sleuth in his assessment. He found the clues and put them together. Of
Yeah.
like, there's this record. It means something.
Yeah,
I
I
thought it was
It means
because there's like
something.
synthesizers that kind of like a maritime sound to them sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like seafaring music.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember when I first heard the term. God, I feel like there was like a Funny or Die or Channel 101 show. Back
Yeah,
in the
that's where it came
2000
from, I
something.
think.
Oh, okay,
It's art.
yeah. I remember that show, so that probably was the first time I heard it, obviously. And yeah, I guess I always associated it with a lot of bands that at the time I fucking like despised, or like a style of music that in my head for the
Sure.
same reason that kind of you were saying, Court, which was like this like just the 70s version of like ultra overly produced shit. And now that's like the exact reason why I love it, because I'm like, oh, like, and we were talking in the beginning, like it was all these like session players that were hired. I wish like I knew
Yeah.
the names of all of them, but these
Yeah.
like hired guns. And like it was at a time in the music industry when they just had like too much money, so like all the money
Mhm.
went into not just like promotional aspects, but like recording at the highest level possible.
Yep.
And you just had all these guys like
In more
long-
ways than one,
yeah,
in the case of Crosby, Stills and
Yeah.
Nash.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like a lot of like there's like it's so funny too, because like the music is so innocent, but like you know that like behind the scenes everyone's just doing like a shitload of coke, which makes
Oh,
it
yeah.
even like more funnier that
And
like
it's also when all these dad rockers were getting divorced too.
yeah,
Like all their
totally.
first marriages were
Yeah.
coming to an end, it seems like, in like mid to late 70s. And
A lot
then
of- yeah,
yeah.
this is like true bachelor pad like starting over music for sure.
Mhm.
Like
Oh,
singing
that's a
guitar,
great
like,
way to put it. Yeah.
"Carol!"
Uh huh.
But yeah, I've grown to love it over the years. And you know, I will say this: me personally, like I was thinking about a lot this past week. I don't know if there's like, I always take it song by song, because I think even bands like a lot of people point to the Doobie Brothers, who they make an appearance on here. I don't think like every Doobie Brothers album is a
no.
yacht rock album.
Yeah.
I think it really boils down to like specific songs. Like I can't put my finger on, but like you can tell the difference between late 70s soft rock like Journey and late 70s yacht rock soft rock, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's partly because a lot of those guys that were doing yacht rock, they were inspired by like soul music. You know, they called it like soul. There's a lot of like, kind of
Yeah.
fucked up connotation to it too, because
Oh, yeah.
dudes like stealing, you know, black
Oh, yeah.
people's music, and you know what a wonderful time for three white guys to get together and discuss this. But
You know, it's about time we got our say into this conversation. I felt
Oh,
underrepresented.
I thought you were joking
for
about
too
Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
we are the Crosby, Stills, Nash, and so
We
the
are.
producer Jesse is, I guess, young, in and out of the picture.
long. Just as crotchety. So with that, I think we can kind of get the show underway. For those of you who are, did you have another thought there, please?
Yeah. Before we get into the
Hell yeah.
listening, Eric, I feel you should explain what your show is all about too.
Oh,
Oh,
fuck
sure.
yeah.
Or I
Thank
guess just how you.
Yeah.
You know what? That comes at the end of the show. I don't know what I was thinking.
Normally, yeah. Well, I
I was
don't care. Who
I
needs
just
format?
wanted to give our audience a little bit more of an introduction
Oh.
to our guest
And
and
a reason, if you
background
will,
here.
as to why he's even here. Yes,
Exactly, yeah.
Eric is a host of Goth Yearbook podcast.
That's
You know, cat's out of the bag. You want to just kind of give an elevator pitch for it right now, so folks kind of know why you're here.
Yeah, I host two shows, both Goth Yearbook,
yeah.
Goth Yearbook Radio, which is on Mondays, which is when I just play like various playlists, and sometimes I have guests on to do like their playlist of like music that they listen to in junior high and high school, and we'll kind of break it down together. And then otherwise, my co-host Caitlin D and I host Goth Yearbook After Hours on Sundays and Thursdays. They're live on YouTube at 10 o'clock, and we just have like a whole bunch of random guests. We've had Shamir, pop star Shamir. We've had Heidi Gardner from Saturday Night Live. We've had Chad Alva, the adult male star. We've had like all sorts of random people, and we honestly, we just like we'll take questions from our audience, and then we'll play personality quizzes rather. It's like having a little slumber party with you guys.
Oh, that's sweet, nice.
But I'll get into it more at
Yeah.
the end.
Oh yeah. There'll be
That
some
was
time
a
for
little
that too,
taste
for sure.
at the end.
Just a little. The first one's free. The second one will also be free. But let's
Third one
get
is
right into
Patreon
it.
exclusive.
Yeah.
Yes. For those of you maybe just tuning into 6 o'clock Dad Rock Talk for the first time, what we do when we have a guest is we ask them to curate a playlist especially for the topic of the week. And since this week is yacht rock, Eric has provided us with some tasty yacht rock jams. And what we're going to do is listen to brief clips of them, and then we're going to talk about them. And see where the conversation takes us from there. So with that, Jesse, will you please play the first song?
Didn't realize we were gonna get right into it. Listen to that already. Just like, can't you picture? This is actually, I didn't know if I wanted to include this one, but am I allowed to talk over it right now?
Let's just hear. Let's listen.
Yeah.
I've been wondering why. Still somehow I believe we'd always survive. Now I'm not so sure you're waiting to hear one good reason to try. But what more can I say? What's left to provide? You think that maybe it's over, only if you want it to be. Are you gonna wait for a sign? Your miracle. Stand up and fight.
God damn. Put a little stank on that then. You know?
Yeah.
That
Thing
was
is real stanky.
That was Kenny Loggins. The song is "This Is It" from the album "Keep the Fire." I highly insist that y'all look up the album cover for "Keep the Fire." Kenny Loggins' "Keep the Fire." It's basically, it looks like Jesus Christ is like learning how to like make what are those like Dragon Ball Z things? It looks like he's discovering how to do that like
Yeah.
power light move thing while like hanging out like in the Stratos. It's very, and it's Kenny.
Yeah, that is perfect. That's a good way to
You see
describe
you
it.
looked up? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. This was my least favorite track probably from the playlist, and I almost left it off. But I was like, we need some logins. But now, like hearing it, I'm so glad it was the first one because
Good.
it was like turning the yacht on. like checking
Yeah.
the motors. It's like you're
Uh-huh.
Swabbing the
SWAT
deck.
team, yeah, and it's like you're slowly wading into the waters with that one.
Yeah, it is such a subtle build, but when it starts in, like, oh
Mhm.
man, and he starts actually showing how good of a voice he has.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
before then, it's like it's a good voice, but it's kind of anyone's voice when he's doing that, like the
It's a little
kind of
creepy. It's
intro
like,
thing. Yeah, it's very breathy, which isn't quite what I associate Loggins with as much. That breathiness. It's a very desperate sound. But then he starts like doing the, let's just get it out of the way right now. We're going to be using the phrase a lot tonight, blue-eyed soul. Not a great term, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And he is a proprietor of it. And that is Michael McDonald on the background voice,
Mhm.
right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of an undeniable voice. And that's like probably the most associated voice with that term, blue-eyed soul.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
He'll pop up later in this season, but he pops up on like the background vocals of like so many people's songs.
Mhm.
McDonald just got
Yeah.
around.
Yes, he did. I still don't know where I stand with his voice. I know objectively it's a very good voice, but I find it creepy.
Are you
It's a
talking
spooky
Michael
voice. Michael
McDonald
McDonald. Michael McDonald. Yeah, it has an eerie quality. It's eerie. Ooh.
It is
I know
like
it's
a
good.
monster. It's kind of like Frankenstein learning to sing. Frankenstein's monster, whatever you fucking nerds.
Yeah,
It's like
he's
him learning how to
Frankenstein.
sing. How the first time he's like, it's like very like he's learning how to enunciate words and like,
Yeah.
like you know what? Like I was thinking about it tonight actually as I was driving home because I was listening to some Doobie Brothers and I was like, I kind of like appreciate how fucking weird his voice is. Like especially for back
It's
then.
weird.
Like it's
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like that should have been like hitting like the top 100. Like
Yeah.
and like
Why
it
was this what people wanted?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a rad track. I don't have much knowledge of Loggins beyond like the few radio hits, and then the one album my parents had growing up was a very soft, like acoustic mostly album. I think it was called Return to Pooh Corner
Yeah.
or Back to Pooh Corner.
Yeah.
And it had the song, the title track that was all about Christopher Robin and stuff. And I really liked that song. It's cheesy as hell, but I like it. Yeah.
You-
I didn't realize that he did that Christopher Robin song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should actually look up like, and also another incredible, all of his album covers. Like, really, we could have done a whole episode just like breaking down the album covers of his, like the art. Like that one, Return to Pooh. I think he like did like a couple albums like that reference Pooh Bear, like Winnie the Pooh Bear, our favorite
Yeah.
honey sucking son of a bitch, and
Uh-huh.
it's very weird.
Yeah.
And one of the album
Yeah.
covers is like him like reading to children or something. It's like a
Well, yeah, because I think it's his son. Because I
Oh.
think that was like, because that song in particular, I think it's like for his son. So like all the art on that album were like paintings of him and his little son and stuff. And it was very schmaltzy. But I got a soft spot for that kind of thing. Like I am a little schmaltzy. You
That-
know?
Hey, no one should be hosting a dad rock show than someone who enjoys that kind of thing. You
Yeah.
got it.
Good point. Good point. I'll accept that. Court, what's your take on Loggins?
I don't have a very strong one. He's someone that I approve of because of his association with Jim Messina of Buffalo Springfield and Poco fame. Both I've loved Buffalo Springfield for a while, but it's only
Okay.
recently that I've been on this country rock kick that I've been diving into Poco, and the really good, really really catchy, almost like power pop country. Like proto power pop country that they were playing. It's really hard to describe, but very simple when you hear it. So I was like,
Steven
okay, if he's
Stills too,
friends,
right?
if
In that
he, what's that?
It Stills is in that one too, right?
In
Buffalo
which?
Springfield.
Yes,
Buffalo
yeah,
Springfield, right?
and Neil Young, and Richie Furay. Yeah, lots of people.
Oh, but I
Would
mean,
you
Pogo
believe
too.
I-
He's not in Pogo.
Who?
Steven Stills.
No, he wasn't in Poco. He
Oh.
was in Manassas with
Hell
Chris
yeah.
Hillman.
That's a
He,
good
I,
name.
that's a side thing. But so my opinion is positive. He did the Top Gun song, right?
Oh
Yeah.
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 Okay,
the-
so I've loved him my whole life then. Just
Top
without
Gun.
thinking too much about it. And so yeah, just Yeah, I liked that. The production reminded me of some mid 70s work that I ramble on about a lot called California Music, which is an association
yeah.
of producers like Brian Wilson, Kurt Betcher, Gary Usher, Terry Melcher, Bruce Johnston.
Yes.
And that stuff came out a few years prior to this, but it really sounds like what this would become. And it's interesting that it would be other guys involved with that, like LA rock scene, that would go on to do that, because California Music was also those same people. It was just on kind of the producer end of things. And so it immediately reminded me of that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it shows. It's such an obvious progression from what was happening. Like, yeah, of course it's going to go there.
Mhm.
Well,
He
let's
also
hear another
did,
song.
the
Oh,
Footloose and the
yes.
Ice Shack songs. The dude was like making all sorts of fucking theme songs during that time.
And he was on an episode of Method and Red. Did you guys ever see that? The Method Man and Red Man short-lived
Oh,
I was
UPN sitcom?
just thinking about that,
I
actually.
totally-
I think about that show too much.
I was
He
just
was-
thinking
yeah.
about that and the Naked Trucker and T-Bone show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Crod Mandoon and the Flaming Sword of Fire. I was just thinking about a lot of like one season failed comedy shows lately.
Oh, that's a show in itself. Well, let's hear another song.
Oh, hell yeah.
Spending all my nights, all my money going out on the town. Doing anything just to get you off of my mind. But when the morning comes, I'm right back where I started again. And trying to forget you is just a waste of time. Baby, come back. Any kind of fool could see there was something in everything about you. Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. I was wrong.
Fuck yeah. Now we've definitely gone into
Yeah.
some waters.
We're neck deep now.
Hell yeah.
We're there.
We're not on the yacht yet, though.
No, we fell off the yacht.
Jeez.
We were first on the yacht, and then we fell off the yacht, and now we're all yacht, baby.
All right.
So what did we just hear?
That was a player with Baby Come Back. Which for deep Simpsons fans.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I
much older.
think a
episode.
lot of stuff on this playlist is probably a Simpsons
Yeah.
punchline at some point or another.
Yeah.
It was Homer lost Maggie, and I forget who did he call. He's like on hold with the police station or something like that. and
Yeah,
this
it
song
was
that's
like the
playing-
missing children hotline.
Yeah, baby, come back. And he starts-
Moment of appreciation for that
We
great
should,
bit.
we should get him on the show. Homer
Yeah.
Simpson.
Yeah. Or
he
Matt
would
Groening.
want to do Grand Funk Railroad. That would be like
Yeah,
Grand
don't
Funk.
stop the rocking.
Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, he would definitely get into that. So what is it about this song that just punches all the right buttons for you?
Oh man, the guitar and that guitar with like which just has like a whole bunch of a little bit of that stanky ass fucking flanger on it, and it's like when that riff comes in, it's like dun, dun, dun,
Oh yeah.
dun, and
It needs
that little
business.
It's like it's so funny too because it's like I always laugh when I'm listening to it. Mind you, I have to like I should preface this at the very top. Like I know it seems like if you like yacht rock it must be like ironic. Very 100%
yeah.
like irony-free love of it, but I can appreciate how like funny some shit is about
Sure.
it. And in particular to me, because there's like a lot of dudes singing on the song. It's like a chorus of men singing that. It's just so funny because I'm picturing all these guys, kind of like what we were talking like that whole divorced dad thing. Like I picture like a bunch of guys
Yeah.
like arm in arm, and they're just all singing like, "Let's help out Frank."
They're all
Yeah,
very,
it's Frank's
very, very
night. We're
bearded.
going to take care of his problem
Yeah,
today.
they're all like singing together outside his like ex-wife's window, like "Baby, come back." But it's just a good song. It's
Yeah.
catchy as all fuck. Again, we're kind of going into like a perfect sequence right now because this is probably like a little bit lower on my love, but it's like we're advancing, and this is like this advances up into the yacht area.
Yeah. What it reminded me of right off the bat, like before I knew what the song was going to be, because obviously I know the chorus, but I wasn't as familiar with the beginning of the song. And it reminded me of a slowed down sort of style of, this is kind of a reach. I don't know if you guys watch the show, but the theme to WKRP in Cincinnati.
Oh,
You guys ever watch that show?
Yeah.
It kind of has a similar sound to that, not as up tempo, but just like that sensibility. And it just kind of made me think of that whole vibe of WKRP.
That brown sound. That's sort of like
Yeah.
era of TV where every like show had like a brown sort of filter on it.
Yeah, definitely. And they had to have a song that kind of tells you what the whole deal is with the show. So you know going in what's happening.
Yeah, you could easily take like those lyrics out and just put like an actual theme song over it, where it's just like,
Oh, yeah.
he bought a used car lot, and
And he's trying all his best
Yeah.
with 4 kids. He's a single dad.
like, yeah.
Very fitting in with the vibe of the song. The like arrangement and instrumentation actually reminded me of like exotica and lounge stuff from like the 50s, like Martin Denny and what's the other name I'm trying to think of? Billy Vaughn. Like Martin Denny and Billy Vaughn, basically like shopping mall music from the mid-century that doesn't really get a lot of critical attention, despite it being these like perfectly crafted little like symphonic songs. And it seems like this is kind of just taking that, adding some synth and drums and like vocals to it in a very positive way. It has that kind of like elevator music feel to the instrumentation that, when done correctly, is not sterile and off-putting. It's actually kind of like warm and nostalgic, like a old mall.
And I think that definitely tracks with the whole elevator music thing. Like there's something to be said for like why this music is so easily converted into Muzak, because like the melodies are so strong and defined. They don't rely on an atmosphere. They really are just that melody, like how strong that works.
Yeah, absolutely. If you actually like truly listen to each of these songs, like with nice headphones in, like you can really hear, especially like right at the very beginning of that, when like they're going into the verse, like you hear a lot, not just synth, but you hear like a lot of like Rhodes, like electric pianos being used throughout all these songs. And like it's someone just playing like this quick little like sweet upwards, like ding, as it goes into the verse. And it's just like, that's very exotica type shit right there. That was very good. I've never even thought of that before, but that was definitely
Love that stuff.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if you not to go way out in the way into the waters, but if y'all know,
We're lost at sea.
Bad Not Good.
Oh yeah,
they do a lot
Good
of
stuff.
like, they have a lot of really cool songs that, because a lot of their music is like either modern jazz or it's like hip hop with a jazz feel to it. But they do a couple exotica sounding songs, including you guys should really check out this one called Chompy's Paradise if you've never heard it. It is so fucking good. It's one of my all-time favorite songs, and I would never think that I'd say one of my all-time favorite songs is by the band Bad Bad Not Good. No shade on them. It's just not like, they're not one of my all-time favorites, but man, that song is like, if you love that shit, if you love that Martin Denny shit, go check it out. Like, it's
Awesome.
It's pristine, fucking pristine. It's yacht. It's yacht.
That's awesome. Well, let's hear another song.
Oh shit.
I finally got my life together. Scrape my heart up off the floor. My attitude is so much better, and I hardly ever cry the way I did before. I've been living it up, having myself bedtime, living it up. Right from the women to the wild, I'm living never got to do.
Fuck yeah. That was Mr. Bill LaBounty with Living It Up. I wanted to include on the playlist some lesser knowns. I think like there's plenty of people who know him and know this album, and particularly that song and like one of his other hits. But for the most part, like your average person who's walking down the street, they've heard of everyone else or at least the songs up to now, but they probably not heard this one. And I love it. It's like this one was like kind of like lo-fi yacht, or like it's more like at home recording, like bedroom.
That's
pop.
exactly what I was thinking. It
It's like
sounds
vaporwave.
Yeah. Yeah.
It made me realize that vaporwave people are full of shit. There's nothing original about that. They just took took the hardest part, which is vocals, out of it,
Yeah.
and then left everything else exactly the same as it was 40 years ago.
Yeah. You should also find a picture of this guy. He's very of the time, I'd say. Like it just really harkens back to that era where like this guy looks like he could teach like probably, I don't know, AP geometry or something like that. But then at night he's like living it up, apparently, according to his own words.
The late 70s were just a great time for guys like me and Corey, I think. We would have looked and lived as kings in 1977.
Yeah.
We would have been the coolest guys in Sacramento.
We at least look like we can afford Coke. I think that's the thing. Whether or not we could afford the Coke, we have the look.
And
That's
what
all that matters.
it's more about the illusion of wealth that yachts and cocaine and
Absolutely.
all these things, that it's the illusion of wealth that's ultimately so hollow that makes the music so melancholy and interesting despite its upbeat tone. Think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, we are.
You know what? All the hate that maybe like more your snobbier music people might say out there about this style of music and all this stuff. You know what? Without it, we probably wouldn't have had like the 4AD bands that came out in the 80s that were kind of like in contrast to this music that was so.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah. People need something to kick against. I mean, would we have Pixies without, like that kind of, just it needs to, rebel. I know it's kind of a silly word for it, but some of my first thoughts with this song were kind of going off of what you were saying there, Eric, of like the sort of almost home recording vibe that like I could hear each track as it's layered. Like it's not hitting me over the head with a wall of sound. And particularly, I'm such a sucker for those muted strums on the guitar. He's just doing those like those get me. And that's what I want to get to here is what finally I'm coming around my train of thought here is the merits of this sort of music is that, we can talk about how it's cheesy till the cows come home, but it makes you feel something. This is emotional music. It truly is emotional. And it doesn't feel vapid. It doesn't feel shallow. Like when this man sung, I believed him. And that's a lot to be said for. I don't know. This is good stuff.
I think that's very fair. I think that's a very fair assessment that I'm willing to abide by moving forward in my life.
And sure, I mean, we might hear another vocalist on this playlist that I might not feel that way about. Like that I might feel some, disingenuine singers, perhaps.
Yeah.
But so far, I've kind of believed everyone I heard on this list.
Yeah. He really was living it up, at least for one night, for sure. And I don't know too much about this guy, about this fucking fool, but like I do know that he wrote like a lot of shit for a lot of other people.
Oh, okay.
I had huge that I'm aware of. I'd have to like really dig in the crates on him, but that's kind of what I like about this guy and this song. Like we've been kind of talking about, this is clearly just like a true music nerd who like knows the like way to get to those melodies and clearly like a student of pop and song structure in a way
Like those
that,
Swedish
I
guys in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that wrote everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a rad one. Well, let's hear another.
の中始まった長い旅朝のざわめき
Hell yeah, that is Mr. Makoto Matsushita with First Light. I wanted to
So good.
include some city pop, which is like what was like the Japanese kind of take on yacht rock and blue-eyed soul in the late 70s and early 80s. I felt I just had to include it because you want to talk about pristine, like every bass note, every guitar square,
Yeah.
like it was like pure perfection. That song is like butter.
Yeah. Talk about a testament to mixing so well.
Yeah.
You know, like we haven't really gotten in the weeds about that yet, but like, good Lord, the mixing on this, because the way the bass sits is so perfect because it's prominent enough because it is, in my opinion, it's the star of the song is that bass line. But it'd be so easy to put that too far in the front and ruin the rest of the mix. It's exactly where it needs to be to still just shine so well.
If you put the slap bass too far in the front of the mix, you're gonna make people think of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
it's going
Yeah.
to like everything else is gonna fall away, and all that will be left is the slap bass, and then you have Seinfeld because yeah.
Like
As
much as I was thinking as it was happening of like, you know, I don't even think I need a chorus on this. I don't need a vocal kind of wall. It really does help the warmth overall, and it helps kind of sort of the opposite of what the bass would do. It's carrying the bass. It's laying the foundation that we could have those 6 slaps laid over the top of it. Oh, it's so perfect.
Even like the little way like the song begins, like that little keyboard something is just going do 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 do, like it's like everything is just so excited and like fuck, like, and apparently like I've read interviews with the guy because he's like he didn't like get too much success but he was a big name in city pop for like a hot minute, and he's gone on to curate like a lot of city pop collections, like albums that have been put together. And the guy is just like extremely proud of like his music and particularly that song to this day. And it's like, fuck yeah, as you should be.
Oh, that's so good.
If I wrote that song, just that one song alone, that's it. I'd be like, I'm not writing anything else after this. Like,
it's like a scientifically crafted song.
yeah,
Again, in a good way.
Yeah. It's all the appropriate points. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I've been meaning to get more into city pop. Because my older brother was the first one that like just told me that was even a thing, because he's into a lot of overseas stuff like that. And so I first heard stuff that was considered city pop maybe, I don't know, close to 10 years ago, and it was one of those things that would pop up every now and then, and I've just never taken the time to listen to it, like, and to really absorb it. Where would you say is a good entry point if I wanted to get into city pop?
I knew you were gonna probably ask me that. Throw it to me on that one. Let me see if I can quickly pull it up. I'm just going to. Here we go. It's called. There is a great collection that I've listened to before, and you know what? I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it like quickly enough without stalling the show.
Oh, it's fine.
I'll send it to you later. But
please do, and we'll make like an Instagram post. It'll be a good excuse to have content.
I will say I read about it in a music blog because I'd never heard of it. It was within the last 10 years, and realistically, just in the last 5 years that I probably really delved into it. And I'm not the best at like remembering the names and this and that. I just put it like on mixes, and I just like fucking vibe to it when it comes on. But I'm so glad I did discover it because like so many of the songs are like really at that caliber. Like the people who are playing on the songs are fucking like they know what they're doing, and they have examined this how to like really perfectly create these perfect to keep using the same word, but pristine fucking pop songs.
Yeah. It feels like almost at an orchestral level of like going to see a high level orchestra where everything is in its right place. Like it's just, it's so perfect.
For just real quickly off topic, but in speaking about Seinfeld basses, back when my friend and I both got our iPhones for like the first time like 10 plus years ago, whenever we first had gotten iPhones, and you could send each other like voice messages and shit like that.
Yeah.
We would do a bit where it was just like we would be news reporters like giving bad news, and then we'd follow it up with like the. So, like, we would just like hit each other up. We'd like wake up like at like 4 a.m. from drinking all night, and you just see like a message from one of us, and be like, "There were no survivors on that Boy Scout trip after the terrorists got to them." That fucking bass is great. Like, I don't know what it is about that thing, but I just love having it like just the tail end of something traumatic.
Yeah.
I think the sugar helps the medicine go down. Is what we're hearing there.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear another song.
Oh,
We had to. All right.
He came from somewhere back in how long ago. The sound of every fool don't see, trying hard to recreate what had yet to be created. Once in her life, she musters a smile for his nostalgic tale. Never coming near what he wanted to say, only to realize it never really was. She had a place in his life. He never made her think twice. As she rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know.
oh, fuck! Right there, to see that part. Oh, what a fool believes the Doobie Brothers. Like, I would say it like the top of the mountain. If Yacht Rock
Yeah.
is like a mountain that you're fucking scaling, this song in all of its like glory, and it's not like maybe as perfect as First Light, the song we just heard before this, like, but it's undeniably just at the top of that mountain. You ascend to get to What a Fool Believes. I was listening to it on the drive home tonight from work because I was getting like mentally prepared. I was getting so fucking into it, and this guy like in the car like next to me, stuck like on historic 101 California traffic, he was giving me the fucking look, and I swear to God, I was getting so hyped, and I was like begging him to fucking like get out of his car. It's like right now, let's do this. Like fucking Michael McDonald will soundtrack your blood on my fist. I was uncomfortably dick hard listening to the song on the drive home.
Oh, man.
So your thoughts?
Yeah, all right, so here's the deal. I knew we would listen to this song.
Yeah.
We had to listen to this song because I do agree with your assessment that it is pinnacle of Yacht Rock. However,
Here we go.
so I have a weird relationship with this song based on just feelings. This is just a feeling thing, and it's such a weird thing, admittedly. But the way, so there's a synth line in it, in the chorus. It happens like every second time or something. I forget it offhand. But it's the climb that the synth does. That's really a big part of the hook. It scares me. I don't know why, but it's like the note that it hits, I don't know. Do you guys have any sort of music that like affects you in a deep way, in an uncomfortable way though? Like when I hear I like the rest of the song. The rest of the song is fine, but that synth climb really makes me uncomfortable when I hear it. It just I can't even hit the note because I don't like it that much.
I know what you're talking about. I can't pull a song per se
Yeah.
at this moment that I feel that way about. But
I'm not crazy, right? Tell me I'm not crazy.
You're not.
I don't know.
I know. I've felt that feeling before. Not on this song. This song, when
Yeah,
that climb
sure.
happens, when that fucking climb happens, god damn, I'm climbing. My soul is climbing on my body and ascending. You know, it's like, you know, all that fucking rambling Matthew McConaughey does in like the fucking Lincoln commercials and
Yeah.
True Detective season 1. Like, when I hear this song, it all makes sense to me. Like, I see for a moment through McConaughey's eyes. I'm like, oh my god, the universe. Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
Just for like one brief moment, the climb takes me there.
What do you think of this song, Court?
I am gonna say something controversial here,
Okay.
which is that despite so many people telling me that they're good, including my mom, they're one of her favorite bands, I don't think I've ever listened to the Doobie Brothers before. Like, ever.
Like,
I'm-
now when you say that, do you mean
Like,
purposely?
Knowing,
Yeah.
That's what you
like
mean?
knowingly,
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't think that I
Yeah,
have ever done so.
Same, actually, same. And I would even say that I enjoy the Doobie Brothers, but I've never sat down and listened to them.
They merge in my head with the Allman Brothers, even though there's like
course.
no similarity there.
I get it.
But
Yep.
they are, much like the Ramones, they're all brothers.
I kind of, they are definitely brothers.
They're all brothers.
We've established
No,
this.
I think
Black Longhair
you're,
Mother.
I think that tracks because especially early Doobies was more kind of roots rock.
It
You
was.
know,
Okay.
I'm thinking Blackwater, old
That's because
Blackwater.
that's
that-
kind of what
that-
I was in.
That's
That's
Allman
what I
Brothers
thought they
style.
were.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they did Jesus is Just All Right, right?
Mm.
That was their big
no.
hit.
Yes, it was.
Or-
Yes.
Yeah,
Jesus
yeah.
is just-
Yeah.
that was it.
And I've heard the Birds version of that song so many times now that that's become the definitive version. But
Yeah.
the Doobie Brothers version is like the definitive version for most people, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
But
And
you're
that-
right to have the Birds be your own personal definitive version. You are right to have that be the definitive version.
You
Yeah.
have no idea what's coming, baby.
I will say I don't really like too much of the Doobie Brothers stuff. Like China Grove is probably one of my least favorite fucking like dad rock type songs of all time.
Oh yeah, I kind of like China Grove.
That
I kinda
fucking
like it.
beginning riff reminds me of like seeing a guitar teacher or something being like
Yes.
dun, 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 dun. Like it's
Yeah.
like very like that vibe to me, which I'm not that into.
Yeah.
You know what? Most people they actually like that older fucking Doobie Brothers shit, like or at least like the ones that were maybe before Michael McDonald came in and took them in a new
Yeah.
direction. I'm like the one fucking guy who's like, hell yeah! Once McDonald got in there, he straightened them fucking idiots out. Like,
He's like, take off your overalls,
Yeah.
put on a polo, let's
know
do
what?
this shit.
because they were part of that California scene, but in my opinion, before the McDonald years, I feel like they weren't like they definitely weren't. I wouldn't have like if aliens came to Earth and they're like, hey,
Yeah.
we know about this California scene, like show me the goods. I'd be like, Doobie Brothers, hide them, like put them in the back room, like, some other guys out here.
They're not ready yet.
yeah,
Exactly.
Give them some time.
Whereas humanity isn't saved by those guys. Those brothers. And I don't even like all the McDonald's songs necessarily with them. This song and It Keeps Me Running, which is like also a very cheesy song that has like an incredibly cheesy beginning sound. It sounds like a fucking Dukes of Hazzard song first. But man, I'm sold. I'm fucking bought and sold, Mr. McDonald. This song was also written by Loggins too. It was Loggins and McDonald.
Oh, I didn't know that. It
Yeah.
makes sense though, especially the synth that I don't like. That's
Yeah.
very long. it just is.
I just love the idea of those two nerds like locked up in a room and like.
That's a good image. I like that. Yeah, imagine riffing on that. Like if you were Michael McDonald, you don't have lyrics yet. Well, you know where you're gonna take it. You know the sort of style.
To be a fly on the wall, my
Gosh. So it looks like we have time for about one more clip and then a chat after that. So is there something we didn't get to on your playlist that you'd like Jesse to play?
Oh gosh, that we're only gonna hear a little bit of.
Yeah.
You know what? Love is the answer by Love is the answer by England Dan and John Ford Coley.
Oh, I'm excited because none of the words you just said strike me as familiar at all, and I like that.
Yeah.
So while Jesse's queuing that up, you want to plug in greater detail your podcasts and where people can find them?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the one that I promote is really the Goth Yearbook After Hours, which is go on Instagram at Goth Yearbook After Hour. I'm sorry, no, just at Goth Yearbook. Jesus, don't even know how to promote myself. And you'll see, like, I'm constantly putting promotional stuff on there. And we just switched over to kind of doing YouTube live stuff. We live stream via YouTube now, and it's every Sunday and Thursday at 10 o'clock. At the moment, because of the fact that we were kind of riding off of the election, we sort of chilled out our schedule at the moment. So We don't have anything to promote at the moment that I want to let out of the bag necessarily,
Yeah.
but we do have some exciting stuff on the horizon. And all
Nice.
that, after the show's done, you can find it on YouTube. You can find the audio on all the podcast spots, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Just look up Goth Yearbook After Hours. We do have a Patreon where we do a lot of bonus stuff, including we break down the iconic Nickelodeon show Doug.
Wonderful.
And we do like a lot of fun stuff kind of like that on the Patreon. So yeah, just take a look. I promise these are waters that you'll want to dip your toes into.
And that was at Goth Yearbook, right?
At Goth Yearbook.
Cool.
Yep, all one word, all spelled exactly right. I got a mug. I don't sell it. This is just for me. It says host on it, so I'm not promoting
Yeah,
that.
well, no one else is allowed to have that mug.
Yeah.
That would be
It would be
fraud.
funny to sell mugs that say host on it. So
Other two.
it's very like presumptuous.
Merch
Like,
idea.
yeah,
We're
you
on
guys
that
want
away.
my mug.
That's like a Stephen Colbert sort of like
Yeah.
Power type thing.
So before we get to the last song, I believe, Court, you have some copy that you're going to read
Yeah.
for a new tie-in sponsor, sort of.
I'm
This
getting
just in.
I'm getting a breaking news from our friends RJ and Marty over at Medium Rare Records and Collectibles. This is what the message that they relayed to me says. Looking for any of the music brought up on the stream? Check out Medium Rare Records and Collectibles in Midtown Sacramento. We have the largest selection of classic rock, jazz, and blues in the county. And most of tonight's music can be found at Medium Rare. Medium Rare Records and Collectibles is not just a record store. It's a vinyl and vintage experience. Our staff has over 100 years of buying, selling, and collecting vinyl. We'd love to share our encyclopedic knowledge of rock and jazz music, not to mention sharing real-life stories of rock legends and fantastic concerts. We love music at Medium Rare and enjoy being able to have people walk in and share the same passion for music that we do. We're located on 1104 R Street, inside the Wall Building, across the hall from Old Gold. Come on in and say hi. We'd love to see you. So that was Medium Rare Vinyl and Collectibles, or Records and Collectibles, 1104 R Street, inside the Wall Building here in sunny Sacramento. Yeah,
No.
You said
And they
across the street
have,
from
they
Old
now have,
Gold?
Old Gold, yes.
What is Old Gold?
It's a vintage clothing store.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was just Old Gold. Like, you got a shitload of fucking.
we got too much of it. It's not new anymore. We
Yeah.
gotta get it off our hands. Yeah, and they have the 6 o'clock Dad Rock Talk seal of approval, obviously,
Yes.
that they were clamoring to get, and we have now graced them with that. And but truly, we do hope you check them out, because that's, we got to support those sort of businesses around this time.
Yeah,
That's
if
just
you
cool.
want to talk Dad Rock stuff, you can talk to Mike and RJ and Marty for hours, and you'll buy a lot of records in the process because they have really good stuff.
Hell, they just got the Goth Yearbook stamp of approval.
Awesome.
Nice. You got a twofer, you guys. You got a
Yeah.
twofer, and you didn't even know it. He didn't even read copy. No copy needed. All right, well, let's listen to the first track if Jesse's got it all queued up, as I believe he probably does.
Ooh.
Name your price, a ticket to paradise. I can't stay here anymore, and I've looked high and low. I've been from shore to shore to shore. If there's a shortcut, I'd have found it, but there is no easy way around it. Light up the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine on us all, set us free.
Oh, fuck yeah. One more time. That was England Dan and John Ford Coley with the song "Love Is the Answer." That song is the answer.
what's the story on those guys? So I've never heard of them before. That was delightful. I really enjoyed that. But where did you hear this?
Yeah, I saw them among the stacks today and was like, what kind of name is England Dan? I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
And I did
Sounds
not
like
know
a
that we were going
criminal.
to be. Yeah.
Sounds like a Cockney criminal. You know, England Dan. He's not
Yeah,
from
he's-
England.
Like a
He's
character from
Australian.
Snatch.
The album this is on to is called Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive, which is like
Oh my god! Wow!
Excellent.
Oh
Um,
man,
England
that's good.
England Dan is Dan Seals. His brother's John Seals of the famous yacht rock duo Seals and Croft. So he was kind of him and this other guy who I think they have like pedigrees of some kind within that industry, but they just never quite got, especially to like compared to his brother. And man, again, you have to check out some of the album covers. These two guys, especially their first album, which is called Nights Are Forever, I highly suggest that everyone takes a look. These guys are rocking some. They literally are both wearing the same suits that Dumb and Dumber when they go to that.
The
Seriously.
powder.
One is a powder
Powder
blue
tux.
and the other is an orange. I swear to God, they're both
Oh,
wearing those.
wow.
And it's like for real from
Oh, wow.
1976. But anyway, as you heard, listen to the rest of that song. It gets even fucking better and better. What a Fool Believes, that is at the top of the mountain. My own personal top of the mountain of yacht rock is this song. This song is just like, it does this. When I tell people I love yacht rock, it's for songs like this. I don't even know how I found it. I heard it. Actually, I know. I don't know why I just said I don't know. I heard it on the radio when I was at like this old shitty job, and I always like there was just something about it that like I was into it, and it's always maintained. And then I forgot about it, and when I got my Spotify subscription back in like 2013 or whatever, and it was on there, it was just like fate brought us back together. And I literally like that song soundtracked my like coming together with this song once again.
It was really good, and the first thing that I noticed was the neat little I forget what it's called because it's not going into necessarily a falsetto, but that little break he does in his voice really early on in the song. Oh, I'm a sucker for that. That's sweet when someone can pull that off. Anything that people can't, that I can't do, I like when I hear it. Which brings me to, this is the last time I'll mention it because the show's almost over, but the bass on this is just phenomenal. And I think this episode in particular is one of the first times on the show that we've had a string of bass lines that I thought I couldn't play. Like earlier episodes, like they're pretty simple bass stuff, and I always think like even if it's a fun line, I'm like I could probably do that. This entire episode, I could not play a single thing we've heard. They are really, really great bass lines.
It's bass for people who went to college for music.
Yeah.
Yeah, went
Like
to
they
college for
studied-
bass.
They did
Yeah.
their PhD in funk.
Yeah.
This and like to tie it all back together because we kind of like started the hour talking about like the love of like the fact that they brought in like these brilliant session players.
Yeah.
This song is just like wall to wall, and again I highly insist listen to the rest of the song because like at the very end there's like this like almost big like church like come to God moment where it
nice.
crashes into the final fucking like couple go rounds of the chorus, and they have like this saxophone player who's just playing like right alongside like the lead singer like hitting all
Oh yeah,
it's like
that's good.
I get chills, man, and it's like I could picture the whole studio. Like I can imagine all of them being like, "We're fucking like we're touching fucking
doing it, you
God
guys."
right here, man." McConaughey again, like it's like
Yeah.
they're getting in that zone in that moment, man.
Like those advertisements for whiskey or bourbon, I think, where he's like doing these canned interviews with rappers, and he's just like, "That's the thing about winning; it's all about passion." And it's just like total gibberish. But when you're listening to yacht rock, it makes sense. It is all
Yeah.
about passion and good bourbon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, on the way out here, we already know where Eric stands on all this music, but do you have, Court, any sort of changed opinion on the sort of subgenre that we've been discovering this week?
I realize that I don't have any negative feelings about it. I don't know how much of it I will seek out on my own unless that comparison to California music that I made at the beginning of the show, unless that holds true for for a larger sample size, then I might dive into it like crazy because I'm obsessed with that stuff. So,
Yeah.
I'm very
get
open
that.
to it. I'm very open to it now.
I think I found potentially some of my new favorite housekeeping soundtracks. Because I'm incapable of cleaning the kitchen unless I have music on. And I think this is good for that. Like that, I don't know if I'm really ever gonna sit down and absorb it quite as much. Like
Not till you have a yacht.
Exactly. And someday I think I'll get there, and then I'll wear the hat. I'll wear the sweater around the shoulders. I'm gonna go full on, and I think I'll deserve it at that point, because I will have earned it.
Yes, you will have.
Everyone who owns a yacht has earned it. They worked
Yes.
hard for that
Yeah.
yacht.
Yeah, you know what? They do.
It takes a lot to embezzle money from that.
Yeah,
company,
they've
right?
evaded their fair share of taxes.
Yes.
They've earned the right. But this truly was a delight. This was a
Yeah,
very
it's
fun
very
episode.
fun.
Thank you, Eric, so much for coming on and
Thank you,
schooling us in some yachty ways. We'd love to have you back sometime to maybe
Yes.
go even more in depth. Like if we ever just want to do, I don't know, we didn't get into them, but just offhand, just like a Steely Dan episode or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh my
Like,
gosh,
that'd be fun to have you back. So, we hope you guys had a fun time watching us gab away as we certainly had gabbing. Please tune in next week. I think we're going to be doing our deep dive on the birds.
Yes, we
Um,
are.
so hopefully
we have
we're
a
doing that.
very,
Yeah.
very exciting segment
Potentially.
coming up
Yeah,
that I won't
Of
confirm
course
nor
not.
deny
You never
yet.
know, because you never
But
know. But
Let's
yeah,
just
that's
say
why
a little bird told me that I might be talking to someone very interesting in preparation for the next show.
Ooh, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm
And and that's really what we're here for. We're here to tantalize. And as always, gotta plug the Insta. Please follow us at Dad Rock Talk, where we post all the updates for the show. Also follow at Goth Yearbook, of course, and all the other fun stuff that we mentioned earlier in the show. We hope you have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
I forgot. There it is. I muted myself. Hey, everybody. That's that. Thank you one more time, Corey, Eric, and Court. That's Dad Rock. See them again next week at 6 p.m. Do stick around, or you know what? Go away and come back. For the Stab Show, coming up at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock, with Nick Pettigrew, Ali Rubin, and Christiana. Should be a good time. In the meantime, let's see if we've got enough folk to send around. Let's send you guys over to who, though? But who? How about... let's send you over to Master Pancake Theater. Why not? Movie riffing. Actually, they're riffing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes right now. Go check them out, and we'll see you back here at 8 o'clock. All right. See you in a bit.
What you have said, and you said, go slow, I fall behind. The second